Thanks for joining us for KSAT News at 9. I'm Courtney Friedman. Coming up tonight, a COVID-19 outbreak at a local nursing home. San Antonio area firefighters forced to self-quarantine after a trip to Paraguay. And we're talking to San Antonio Mayor Ron Nurenberg about the city's response and asking him your coronavirus questions. But first, the latest local numbers. 24 new COVID-19 cases confirmed in Bexar County today, bringing the total to 231. Of those, more than 1/3 are community spread. 70 are travel related. 72 patients have been hospitalized, 32 treated in intensive care. 28 of those people are on ventilators. The death toll has not gone up since last night. It still stands at 9. Today's big story, a COVID-19 outbreak has been confirmed at a local nursing home. There are 14 confirmed cases, and the Southeast Nursing and Rehabilitation Center on South Cross. One resident has died. Of the confirmed cases, 8 are residents and 6 are staff. All residents have been tested, but the results of more than 70 tests are still pending. One family visiting the nursing home today had to tell their grandmother happy birthday through a window. They say all in all, though, she's in good spirits.
She said she's good. She's staying away from people. They're staying in the room or whatever. She didn't have a mask on at all. That's what's crazy. I kind of was confused by that too, that she had no mask.
The facility is being sterilized and staff members have been given a 1-week supply of personal protective equipment. A group of San Antonio area firefighters returning from Paraguay say they spent 14 days being quarantined before heading back to work. The firefighters from the city of Chavano Park were in the South American country to train crews over there. Tiffany Huertas tells us about their experience and how they say life has changed since coming back home.
Day 14 was great when I took my temperature and I didn't have a fever and I didn't have a cough or no shortness of breath, so it was a good feeling.
One former and 3 current Chavano Park firefighters recently returned to Texas. The group had traveled on March 8th to Paraguay to help train firefighters.
We had about 200 pounds of equipment that we were able to take that we couldn't use here anymore at the fire department.
Captain paramedic Ivan Hernandez and firefighter paramedic Samuel McKinnon say before they left to Paraguay, they checked on the CDC and the U.S. Embassy's websites.
There were cases in Argentina, there were cases in Brazil, but there are no confirmed cases in Paraguay.
There are now dozens of COVID-19 cases in the South American country. When the team returned home on March 17th, Hernandez says they went through a 14-day quarantine period. The 3 Chavano Park firefighters returned to work this week.
We didn't have any symptoms, which is great, and we currently feel fine. So, and by getting monitored every day, that's actually a bonus for us as well.
Anyone who enters a fire station gets their temperature checked and gets screened for COVID-19 symptoms.
So we were eager to come back, and yesterday was a great day, putting our boots on the ground and helping out as much as we could.
For the 9, Tiffany Huertas.
Working in the news during this pandemic can be crazy at times. Some days are more difficult than others, and today was one of those for me. Both of my parents tested positive for COVID-19 this morning. It was really hard getting that call, knowing that they're all the way in California and there's basically nothing I can do about it. But then I thought about what I do and the platform I have to share my family's story with others, that these are not just numbers and statistics. This can, in fact, happen to anyone. First off, my parents are doing really well right now. Their friend first tested positive and then they started feeling sick after. My dad is a lung cancer survivor and is a very high risk, so that's why they were tested. It did take 8 days to get those test results back, so by today they were already feeling much better. I did get to talk with them on Skype earlier. Hi guys! You guys look very good.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks, so do you.
They're KSAT's #1 viewers, by the way. They know more about San Antonio news than they do about San Diego. You are my #1 fan on Facebook, Mom. I was telling everyone about, the last couple weeks for us. How many days ago was it that you guys were with your friends?
We were with them 20 days ago. No. I felt bad on Thursday, and then John came up with it on Sunday, and Dad got it on Monday.
What were your symptoms?
Sore throat, a cough, and I was just tired. I had a teeny tiny fever one day, like 99.5, and that's it. And then it went away.
And I had really bad hots and colds and chills, and my fever went up to about 101 at one point. And then I had a cough, but then it went away 2 days later, and all we've had is a cough. The nurse today said is a post-viral cough.
Some people probably still wouldn't have even been able to be tested yet, but as we've been telling people, Dad, because of your lung cancer, you guys were put high on the list, right?
Correct.
Yeah, my lung cancer, the fact that my
Kidneys.
My kidney only has a 75% function. They first told us it would be 2 days. And then when they called, it said it could be 2 to 5 days. And then when we called it, they said it's probably 5 to 7 days. And then yesterday when we called, they said 7 to 10 days. So that's the stress.
You didn't leave your house.
We haven't left our house for 20 days.
Right.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. They never leave their house.
We had it delivered. We sanitized everything before we brought it in.
Which basically didn't do us any good because we already had it.
But we didn't expose it to anybody
Right,
because we
that
have
was
been
the
nowhere.
important thing.
Yeah, my sister lives 5 minutes away. Kayla wasn't allowed in.
She couldn't come. We talked to her through the window.
Yeah, you talked to her through the window. That was really hard for you.
It was, but we wanted to make sure that we weren't spreading this to anybody.
You guys did exactly what you were supposed to do.
So we're okay now to come to San Antonio and get some barbecue, right?
Oh, you're not allowed. No trouble. We'll have to ship you some.
But we miss you.
Love you guys.
We love you.
Okay, I'll call you later. Bye.
Okay, bye.
I'm not tearing up at all, I promise. I'm just glad I got to share this example of people not being sure they have it and erring on the side of caution anyway, because as we've been saying, the bottom line is we're all responsible for each other right now, and we have to keep each other's families safe. So glad you got to check in on mine. We're going to check in with another family now, stranded overseas, quarantined at a military base, and now confined at home. An update tonight on a couple whose journey we've been following since February. You may remember Don and his wife were stranded on the Diamond Princess cruise ship off the coast of Japan, where hundreds of passengers tested positive for the virus. The couple returned to the States only to be quarantined for 2 weeks at Joint Base San Antonio Lackland. Now the couple's been staying home after the city of San Antonio issued that stay home, work safe order. Don says he's glad to see people taking the outbreak seriously.
A lot of people are beginning to see how serious it is and to take more and more precautions, but it's up to each and every person to actually take the responsibility of accomplishing what they're recommending.
Don and his wife have never shown symptoms of COVID-19. In Texas, nearly 4,000 people have tested positive for COVID-19, with 58 deaths, including 9 from San Antonio. More than 47,000 people have been tested in total. Nationwide, there are now more than 210,000 positive cases and 4,700 deaths. Globally, there are more than 900,000 cases, with 46,000 deaths. The top 3 countries seeing the highest numbers right now, the U.S., Italy, and Spain. Let's turn to the 9 at 9 now. A deadly apartment fire in New York, a Washington dentist accused of setting fire to his medical equipment. Plus, a look at how the pandemic is impacting communities across the globe. Here's tonight's 9 at 9. 4 women killed in a Bronx, New York apartment fire. The flames started on the 6th floor and quickly spread. The victims lived in 2 separate apartments on the same floor. Fire marshals are investigating the cause.
Mission Park Funeral Chapels have found a way to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic in a pretty unique way.
They're offering a drive-in type experience for families saying their final goodbyes to loved ones. The hope is that this will let families take part in funeral services while still following social distancing guidelines.
What we're doing is making sure that the social spacing inside is really limited to the family itself. And so that's why this is an opportunity for their friends to be able to come to the service and let them feel their love right here. And they'll see everything that's happening inside, and they're here with them today.
A Washington state dentist arrested and charged after allegedly using medical masks and gowns as kindling in an attempt to burn down his own clinic last week.
That's really sad. I mean, there's so many people in need of the masks and gowns and everything right now, and having that kind of stuff destroyed is just absolutely terrible.
Police say the dentist was in financial trouble and was facing eviction from the building for not paying rent. The dentist says the fire was an accident. According to a team of researchers led by Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, there's a new blood test that can detect a wide range of cancers. The test was able to find upwards of 50 types of cancer, as well as the location within the body with a high degree of accuracy. Dana-Farber has joined a multi-center clinical trial of the test. However, enrollment in the study is temporarily suspended due to the coronavirus pandemic. It was Ecuador's tallest waterfall, dropping water nearly 500 feet through a patch of cloud forest where the Andes Mountains meet the Amazon basin. But now the San Rafael waterfall has vanished. It stopped flowing in February because of a new sinkhole on the Coco River, diverting the water away from the falls. These images from NASA show what the area looked like when the waterfall was still active and what it looks like now. A big rig loaded with toilet paper headed to San Antonio crashes and catches fire in Dallas County. The driver and his dog were not injured, but thousands of rolls of toilet paper were destroyed. A startup company is aiming to replace plastic coolers and insulating packaging materials with plant-based versions. In a new round of financing, Vericool announced it's raising more than $19 million. The California-based company says it uses completely recycled paper fibers and other plant-based materials in its products. Spotify is hoping to help parents deal with bored kids in its Spotify Kids app. The new app includes playlists full of songs that can help kids stay healthy. Some music teaches them how to wash their hands, while other songs remind them of the importance of coughing into their elbows. Other educational content teaches kids things like the alphabet and a variety of scientific topics. The new app is free for subscribers to the music streaming company's premium family plan. NASA's James Webb Space Telescope is one step closer to takeoff. It's set to launch in 2021, which means NASA has been hard at work going down a long list of checks to make sure it's ready. And they just checked off one of the most important boxes, getting the primary mirror to work. How much detail a telescope can see is directly related to that mirror. You can see it unfolding. This is just how it'll happen when it's in orbit. To read more about these stories, head to KSAT.com.
I hope you were able to enjoy today's beautiful weather, even if that just meant getting on the back patio for a few minutes. It was a spectacular day. Nice and cool this morning in the low 50s, but up to 80 this afternoon with plenty of sunshine and low humidity. We will take that any day of the year, that's for sure. Unfortunately, this nice weather is not going to be hanging around. Things will turn cloudy and muggy by Thursday. We'll even have a chance of some isolated rain showers, and then a chance of storms on Friday. We could have some strong to severe storms in there, and we'll talk about that coming up. But even after Friday, as we get into the weekend, early next week, rain chances hang around. I've got a chance of rain in your planning forecast each day, so a change in our weather pattern is starting to settle in. So tonight, skies will be becoming cloudy through the overnight hours. Temperatures falling down to the low 60s with some drizzle developing as we get closer to dawn tomorrow morning, and then into tomorrow afternoon, skies will stay pretty gray. Some drizzle will let up in the afternoon, but isolated showers will take its place, so it could end up feeling kind of damp through the day on Thursday, and high temperatures only limited to the low 70s because of the additional cloud cover and chances of rain. So tomorrow's rain will be fairly isolated in nature, better chances of a few rumbles of thunder generally north of San Antonio tomorrow afternoon, but chance of showers for the Alamo City nonetheless. Then we get into the day on Friday, and a cold front will be approaching from the north. As this cold front taps into a very warm and unstable air mass that is in place over South Texas. That's a setup for some strong to severe thunderstorms starting to kick in Friday afternoon into Friday evening. These storms could produce some damaging winds, some hail, and when we look at the severe weather risk, so this is on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. Those 5s are very, very rare. We're at a 2, so this just means there could be a handful of storms that could be severe with concerns for damaging winds and also some hail bigger than the size of quarters. So this is something we're watching really carefully for you. As we get into the day on Friday, it's going to be really important to watch how much sunshine we see, because if we start to see a lot of sun by about lunchtime on Friday, that means our atmosphere could become even more unstable, and that would support some stronger storms Friday afternoon and evening. So that is something we'll continue to watch model run by model run for you, and we'll keep you updated. And look at our rain chances that continue through the weekend. The upcoming weekend is looking pretty gray with chances of scattered rain. It'll be a little bit cooler as well. Then even into early next week, warming back up into the low 80s, but chances of showers and storms hang around.
Steve Spreester will be in to talk with Mayor Ron Nurenberg right after this. We'll be back in a minute.
Welcome back to the KSAT News at 9, fighting fear with facts. It's what we're attempting to do every night during this pandemic at around this time on KSAT News at 9. Tonight, we're joined by Mayor Ron Nurenberg. Thank you for joining us, Mayor, from the comforts of your own home. I don't know that, get the T-shirt on, just nice and relaxed. So I appreciate you taking time out from your night.
Thanks for having me on, Steve.
The first question that we have tonight is from viewers, actually. Workers at Southeast Nursing and Rehabilitation Center who've been tested and are awaiting results. Are they being told to self-quarantine or are they continuing to work?
Yeah, no, any of the workers that have been exposed to positive cases or even suspected of are isolating at this point.
Next question, is there any assistance being offered for people who can't pay rent or pay their mortgages due to the pandemic? And I actually know some of the mortgage companies and some of the credit card companies and people like that are giving people some leeway in this. I didn't know if the city or the county is doing anything in particular.
Yeah, well, we've been working on this since really it all began. And so a couple things are happening. Disconnects of utilities there's a moratorium on those from SAWS and CPS, and there is a moratorium throughout the county on any evictions, whether they're SAHA public properties or they're private properties. No one will be foreclosed or evicted during this period of time, and that includes business tenants as well. Of course, that doesn't mean that bills don't still come in, and that's something that we're working through with the various relief funds that we have available, the risk mitigation fund of the city, but also it requires some state and federal intervention. And I know there's some things in the works. Unfortunately, we don't have the authority to rewrite contracts that are done between private parties, but we are working on various relief efforts so that when this period is over and we go back to some normalcy, that all of that back payment and rents that are in arrears don't all of a sudden start to push people out on the streets. We certainly wouldn't want that.
Yeah, no way. Next question, are there any home tests you can take for COVID-19 that are currently on the market?
No, there are not. And unfortunately, as we've seen during any disaster or crisis, there's always those opportunists who are trying to push some snake oil or something like that. And so we've seen a number of those things come through. There are also actually some tests that are being vetted that haven't been approved that may turn out to be okay, but we simply don't have home tests that are available. The tests that are available that are made through private manufacturers that have been vetted and approved and that are rapid, they're actually being all bought by the federal government, FEMA, to make sure that they're distributed to the places that are essentially being triaged right now. And so we want to get our hands on here in San Antonio tests so we can start to move much quicker and do much more wider assessment and quicker assessment. We're working through that. We're vetting some tests through STRAC, but there's nothing available for the private consumer at home at this point. And if you're sold something like that, beware.
Yeah, be aware of the scams that are out there. We talked about that a little bit at 6 o'clock. Okay, a question from Twitter now. This comes from Matson. With California showing some signs of success with their strict stay-at-home order, have you been talking to the governor about doing the same thing in the state of Texas?
We have from the very start, and the good news there is that a couple things. All of the major urban areas, the major population centers of the state of Texas have been working together, and so we all implemented very closely the same type of stay-home order at the same time, pretty much. We've been working in concert to make sure that we have strong measures in place to help slow the spread in the major urban areas. Unfortunately, we only have jurisdiction within our own cities. We have been urging the governor to take a look at what we're doing and implement this statewide because, we know that the virus is going to spread to every corner of the city and we need to all be working together to limit the spread because it moves from place to place. It doesn't know boundaries. And the good news there is that the governor did issue essentially stay-home orders yesterday in defining what an essential business and non-essential business is. It is very closely matched to what we are doing in the cities. There's some variations. We're asking for clarifications on those. But essentially, the whole state now is in some semblance of a very similar state stay-at-home order as ours here in San Antonio.
Okay, along the lines of that, I want to ask the next question from Twitter. This is Yolanda. She wants to know, considering how many are blatantly disobeying the stay-home, work-safe order, again, these are Yolanda's words, not mine, are you considering making a curfew and instilling fines for those who are caught?
We've been very clear from the start that the stay-home order is an order. It's not a request, and this is for the health and safety and lives of our neighbors. And so we put in enforcement mechanisms in that, as did the county, and that includes civil penalties. It includes law enforcement if necessary. And we have been taking in violations and making visits to those businesses and establishments that are violating the orders. Some of them, most of them, have come in compliance voluntarily. Just, they pleaded not knowing or something like that, and they've gone strictly into compliance. There have been a few bad actors. There's no doubt about that. And we are issuing citations. In fact, there was a well-documented case on the front page of the paper today, and that person has been cited, and we're going to continue to apply pressure to those who are putting all of our lives at risk by their negligence.
Next Twitter question from Eileen. She says, do the counts include presumed positives or only tested patients? It seems people with symptoms / exposure are being told there are no tests.
So we need to be very clear about that. If you are suspected of having COVID-19 and your provider, your doctor or a nurse or someone on our screening line says that you need to be tested, you will get a test. And it doesn't matter if you have a primary care provider or if you don't have insurance or whatever. If you are suspected of having COVID-19, you're going to get a test. And if that's not happening, call me, because we need to make sure it's happening. But with regard to the counts that you see every day that we provide the public, those are strictly the number of cases are all confirmed positive infections in our community. We do have another count. It's not as it's more fluid, of people who are under investigation, meaning that they are suspected of potentially having the virus and they're being tested right now, but they haven't gotten their test back yet. We expect both of those numbers to go up. And in fact, we are pushing very hard to widen the testing protocol to get those tests that I mentioned down to San Antonio, as every other city is trying to do, so that we can open up testing even more. But at this point, we have a good sense that those numbers are going to rise. But if you are suspected of having COVID-19, we want you to get tested, and we will make sure that you get tested.
Will the stay home, work safe order be extended? It's currently running just to next Thursday, April 9th?
Yeah. Yes. There's very little doubt in my mind we will extend at least through April 30th, which is essentially what the state has done in their order yesterday. But we're going by the strictest health guidance, because the best thing we can do to all get back on our feet and see the economy start to run again is to make sure that we kill this virus, that we slow the spread and get out of these restrictions as quickly as possible. That takes us all working together, but it does mean we're not going to be out of this by April 9th.
Laredo is telling people to wear masks when they go out, even if they don't think they have the virus. Is that something San Antonio is looking at? Have you talked to people about that?
We are looking at that, and we're awaiting some CDC guidance on that. And I, in fact, was just talking with folks on my staff about that literally minutes ago. It seems like a very commonsensical thing to do if you have access to, some face, nose, mouth covering, because we do know that asymptomatic carriers are spreading this virus. That's how it's driven this pandemic. So, protecting yourself and protecting others from you potentially is a good thing to do. We are waiting for some strict guidance, but I will say this: PPE needs to go to frontline health workers and first responders first. Those are the ones that are most at risk. So we want to make sure that we don't compromise any supply of PPE, such as face masks, by unnecessarily putting them in places that they don't need to be. But if it's guidance from the CDC, if our health professionals suggest this is something that we need to implement, we would probably move in that direction if that is the health guidance. But at this point, there's not any.
Okay. Yeah, and PPE, personal protective equipment, for those who aren't sure
right.
what that acronym means. Final question for you. 9:20 tomorrow morning, you have asked for a moment of silence. Talk about why you came to that decision and what you hope people are thinking during this moment of silence at 9:20.
Well, we're all sort of isolated right now physically, but we're also reminded of the fact that we're all in this together. We're connected to each other, and whether or not, you know, lives are saved and we get back to somewhat normalcy depends on us all working together. And we're connected in more ways than one, even while we're in our own homes or wherever. And so in recognition of that solidarity, but also the fact that we're together on this because of the lives lost and the lives that we're potentially saving, I thought it was a good opportunity for us to have a citywide moment of silence. We will be doing that tomorrow at 9:20. I'll probably be doing it every week, frankly, to recognize those who have lost and those who are fighting for their lives and those who are fighting for other people's lives, the healthcare workers, the first responders, the doctors, the nurses. So at 9:20, for a minute, the bells of the San Fernando Cathedral will ring, and we invite you to join us in solidarity with all of our neighbors here in San Antonio, but really across the world.
Mayor Ron Nurenberg, thank you for your time tonight.
Good night, y'all. Take care.
Take care. We'll be right back.
A local lawyers association is calling out Texas Governor Greg Abbott over his decision to ban some inmates from being released on personal recognizance or PR bonds. Under PR bonds, a defendant can be released without bail. In his executive order issued Sunday, Abbott banned the release of suspects accused of or previously convicted of violent crimes. He said this is being done in an effort to protect the public from what he labeled as dangerous criminals. But the president of the Criminal Defense Lawyers Association says the order is discriminatory and unconstitutional.
This order is disproportionately unfair to the poor and has the effect of keeping the poor in jail and those with money on release, even if their offense is the same.
She went on to say that reducing jail populations right now will help reduce the risk of COVID-19 outbreaks. Turning to tonight's top stories, a local Toyota supplier is switching gears and now producing face shields to supply to healthcare workers. Typically, Reyes Hayashi Automotive provides interior soft trim products to Toyota, but beginning today, they are making 5,000 protective face shields a day. Production is ramping up next week, and they hope to be able to produce up to 10,000 a day. According to the company's president, so far, they have 150,000 orders from local and state entities. Alcohol sales have jumped 55% in the third week of March compared to the same time last year, according to Nielsen. That's the week several local and state governments issued stay-at-home orders. Nielsen data shows ready-to-drink cocktails like spiked lemonades and canned gin and tonics grew the most, seeing an almost 106% jump in sales. And take a look at this. A local woman is giving back to the community with this little pantry. Neighbors on her street on East Norwood Court are invited to take what they need and give what they can. The woman says while she's temporarily out of work, she wanted something positive to do. There is a huge need for safe medical equipment at healthcare facilities across the globe and right here at home. RJ Marquez talked to a local woman who has helped spark a grassroots community effort to create 3D printed face shields to donate to those who need them in our area.
With a shortage of medical equipment across the country and here in San Antonio, Felicia Powell wanted to find a way to help while she didn't have to look very far. Powell is a program coordinator at Hemisphere. The organization just received a grant from a donor to create a makerspace that included a 3D printer.
You know, I started noticing people were printing like the face mask, and then I started realizing what the shortages were in terms of PPE and medical equipment, I'm like, what can I make that requires little material? And it was a face shield.
PAL and UTSA engineer Tui Din joined the makers community to provide personal protective shields to local healthcare facilities for free. Part of that process included working with the San Antonio 3D printing company, Alice Ford 3D Printing, to design a customized frame for the shields.
They donated all this designing time, and then based on my feedback and me going back and forth with them, we created this the face shield frame that is reusable because it's made with material that can be sterilized.
Making the shields reusable was a major factor for PAL and the team. The designers went through multiple prototypes until they found the right one.
Usually they're made of a disposable foam, and they have to be after one use. It can't be reused over and over again. So the material that we decided to use is PET-G, which can be UV sterilized and autoclaved, so you can do about 50 uses in a hospital setting.
PAL told me they have donated more than 400 reusable face shields to San Antonio hospitals, urgent cares, private practices, and many more. It's been a round-the-clock effort for PAL and the team. They continue to fill up bin after bin and get more requests by the day. Every material, frame, or money donated has gone back into making shields for healthcare workers on the front lines.
I expected, just to kind of fill a little need. It's actually been very emotional. It's like I want to work as hard as they're doing for us to make sure, I can do as much as I can for them. They're protecting our parents, our friends, our coworkers.
For the 9, RJ Marcus. What's up, guys? Time to check out some stories that are trending today on KSAT.com, and we start with a local photographer who is capturing life in quarantine through her camera lens. That's right, Pamela Broadman is her name, and she started taking photos of families in her neighborhood in the Alamo Ranch area, of families basically having to live out quarantine life. So she's posted these on her Facebook page, and she has them in all different types of situations, enjoying time out with the dog and all sorts of different things, enjoying themselves for a birthday party. So it is a pretty cool way of looking at the way that a lot of people are dealing with our quarantine situation right now. We have more pictures and more information on this photographer, Pamela Broadman, on KSAT.com. It's definitely worth your time to check out. It is called Life in Quarantine, and a look through some of the portraits of families through a camera lens. Okay, moving on here. We've been talking a lot about local eateries and doing your part to support eating local. Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker, they apparently are stepping up, and they were spotted recently at one of their favorite pizzeria spots, that is Frelo's, of course, on the far northwest side. Frelo's posted some photos of Manu and Tony picking up some pizza, saying that they were supporting their efforts to eat local and keep their business going. They also posted a photo of Matt Bonner, their Tony and Manu's teammate, also getting Frelo's delivered. So pretty cool stuff there from those guys. Definitely appreciate seeing those guys, those Spurs greats, still kind of keeping in contact with the community and also helping out local businesses during this time. We have all the information that you need on restaurants that have kind of changed up a little bit of their strategy to offer more goods. There are a lot of different places that are now doing more of a grocery type selection too, so make sure you check that out on our website. All right, last story here. Probably the favorite story of the day because we are all just maybe bored out of our minds trying to figure out fun stuff to do. Well, a San Antonio artist created a pandemic loteria cards. Yeah, these are pretty cool. A couple of these. First one that he created was called La Rona, so that one's, I think you can figure out where that one came from. But some other ones here, La Botella, which is actually a bottle of hand sanitizer. And then he's got El Hoarder, which is a bunch of toilet paper. And he also did El Homeschool, which is a picture of an iPad in school, misspelled, S-K-O-O-L. So some pretty cool creative ideas here by this artist. I will let you go on the website to check out his Instagram page. We have a bunch of information on it and basically how he started up this new venture. And again, we're all just trying to figure out how to pass the time right now. And this is a pretty cool story to check out. So if you want more information on this, go to our website. Again, you guys have a good day. You guys have a safe and healthy one, and I will see you guys again soon.
Thank you so much for watching the news at 9. The Night Beat starts at 10. See you then.